Hello, and today we'll be playing NeveN. Going to start chapter 7 from Maelbjorn. An astonishing sense of pride fills my mind as I realize that I have stood up to him, and at the same time I rejoice that I have broken through his defenses. However, it's been a grueling day, and although it's not quite dark yet, I figure I'd better take a nap for a while before I'm needed again for some perilous mission. My night is restless with all the thoughts of my excursion to the town with Maelbjorn. I must say it's a change for me to be able to think of something pleasant for once. And the next day, early in the evening, I hurried to get ready in order to return to the prince. Through the window, I realize that the weather's gloomy. It looks like we're in for a storm today. Not that I mind. On the contrary, this kind of weather inspires me like no other. Once in the courtyard, I see many workers toiling in the rain, carrying beams and other pieces of wood towards the ramparts. What's going on to make such a commotion? My curiosity wins out, and I follow the line until I am at the top of the walls, where I find the prince accompanied by other Africans around a wooden contraption. The bear himself puts his hand to the work, assembling the pieces brought to him while chatting with the others present. Well, Prince, you didn't tell me you were a carpenter. The bear looks up and smiles at me as he looks at the apparatus with some pride. It's engineering rather than carpentry, but let's just say I've learned a couple of things about it, yes. What's that? A ballista. It's made to stew from. I know what a ballista is. I've already seen one before, but let's just say it's not complete yet, so it's hard to see what it is. The engineers accompanying the prince look at me grimly when they see me cut Maelbjorn off, so he walks away and motions for me to follow him. Once a little farther away from prying ears, I catch an interested glance towards a ballista. Is all this wood being used for this one weapon? The whole line, you see, yes, but we're going to assemble some more all along the wall. I must confess that it surprised me not to see any such defenses in the castle, given that there were some on the outer walls of the town. These ballista are ancient. They were installed on these walls before the reign of Aeon and Lust. But the fact that siege weapons were turned towards the city did not send the right message according to the kings. It was a reminder of the power of the strong over the weak, and they wanted to embody a new form of kingship. So they had everything dismantled once the Civil War was over until the day. Is the situation that bad? Let's just say we prefer to prepare for the worst, but you don't have to worry. Everything's under control. I'm well aware that he's just saying that to Will Sibby, that nothing is certain about this stage, but somehow it's working. See all these people make this effort to defend me warms my heart. It shows that they're counting on me. Can I help? Eric, I don't doubt your abilities, but I wasn't about to offer to carry huge beams on my frail little soldiers, if that's what you're worried about. He laughs and shakes his head, all the while clearly a little confused. I'd like to improvise a little something, just to put your writing lessons to good use. And what exactly do you have in mind? You'd be surprised how much rhythm there is in handiwork. I've heard loads of songs born in mines or fist-cutting workshops. And thanks to music, a rhythm can become a motivator and makes hard work a little more unbearable. So I get up, grabbing a wooden bucket before going downstairs. Watch and listen. A stage. I need a stage. A table. Perfect. As I hoist myself up on edge with my improvised instrument, the curious eyes of the workers turn to me. It's show time. I'd like to thank all those who work so hard. The one who builds our walls, the ones who stands guard. There would be no kingdom without these braves, who many ungrateful fools treat like slaves. To sing these words, I bang on a bucket in a steady rhythm. It's not exactly the best of rhythm, not exactly the best of instruments, but I'll soon have everything to need. They are the first to rise in the morning. They have no time for joy, sorrow, or mourning. Then they are the last to go to bed at night. They never see the sun, yet they are our light. The workers still seem a little puzzled by what I'm saying to them, but they don't realize that the magic is already starting to happen. Their breath gradually aligns with the rhythm of my makeshift drum, and the south wood piling up is like an extra percussion that naturally adds to the tune. Their spirit is stronger than the pine they haul. Overwhelming tasks, yet they stand tall. Workers of phosphate, we owe it all to thee. They say I'm their hero, but I'm your devotee. As I catch my breath to continue singing, a boy approaches me and places a small plate on the table, giving me a knowing look. I suppose I should take that as an invitation. After jumping off the table, I grabbed a piece of wood before joining the line of workers. The one who gave me the plate then starts humming my tune, and gradually is on everyone's lips. The only music that remains is that of work punctuated by the movements and sounds of everyone's effort, forming a veritable orchestra that functions in absolute symbiosis. So we work until the ballista is fully assembled and the engineers and workers go away, leaving me alone with Maelbjorn. That's when I realized that he's watching me with a touch of pride in his eyes, and I struggle against the muscles that tug at my body. You didn't tell me you were a born leader. Yeah, watch along, dear prince. I sprawled against the ballista, blowing out a huff while trying to keep a smile on my face. I wouldn't do this every day, though. It's more exhausting than training. Maybe your training isn't intensive enough, though. I take that back. My workouts are absolutely exhausting. The prince gives me a mocking look as I do my best to sit up straight. Anyway, it was fun, but I'm not here to build ballista. Have you got any plans? I thought I'd go and see a cat. Then continue my research into, well, you know. The talk with our two mutual friends didn't go anywhere, I suppose. Let's just say that they are indeed suspect, but I'd be hard pressed to say which of them is more so. Agreed. We come to the same conclusion in that case. Perhaps that said, something abnormal happened when I was with Astrid. Oh? Someone was listening at the door. We were talking. That's interesting, although I'd avoid jumping to conclusions if I were you. A whole lot of people might want to spy on Astrid, given her unique position at the court. I imagine that's why she wanted to take care of it herself. She didn't want me to get my nose into her business. But I thought you'd be more worried about there being spies in the castle. Well, let's just say it's part of everyday life. We also take part in it. The trick is not to get caught. What a wonderful lifestyle. If it's a part of everyday life, I'd rather not know what's unusual. The appearance of a brand of the forgetful ones, for example. Ha ha. The prince winks at me before straightening up. Well, that's not all, but I've got a whole bunch of other ballistae to put together. Come and see me again. We've got time. Oh, and say hello to that cat for me. Will do. And with that, I make my way down the stairs back to the courtyard before sneaking through the corridors of the castle, hoping to find a falcon there. Fortunately, there is hardly anyone but workers around at this hour, so I slip through with ease to the living quarters. The door to Kit's room opens, and almost instantly after I knock, as if he expected me to drop in. Eric, hey, how are you? The Falcon grabs my hand without answering so he can drag me inside. He has a sort of joyful and excited look in his eyes as he pulls out a sheet of paper that he puts in front of my eyes. Look at this. It takes me a little while to decipher it all, but eventually all the words appear clearly. Seasonal concerts, birthdays, tour of the kingdom, annual music festival. What is it? A list of ideas for events that you and I could organize. I'm blank as I am brought back to the reality of my existence as a royal boy. That's an interesting initiative, but it's particularly ambitious. I think everything that's happening has given me a new perspective on life, that's all. And that's what you wanted too, isn't it? To have a big audience and be known throughout phosphine. That's true, even my head is elsewhere at the moment. Seeing a kid's slightly worried look, I smile at him as I grab him by the talons. I've already told you not to worry about me. Besides, I've also been able to think of something of my own. Oh? I wasn't completely at peace with writing until Maelbjorn taught me the basics, and I've realized that I've still got a whole universe to discover thanks to this. So I decided that I'd like to encourage the kingdom in its literacy efforts. I'd like to give others a chance that I didn't have. That's a great idea, but how are you going to go about it? Well, through songs. How can you learn if you don't have fun? And it would fit in perfectly with your idea of a tour of the kingdom. Can you imagine you and me with a troupe of musicians traveling around the country educating people with songs? Oh, that would be fun. And who knows, maybe we could persuade Asher and Savannah to join us and make a merry band. The Falcon suddenly looks at me with a much more puzzled expression and can't help but burst out laughing. Sorry, that was too tilting. While slapping me on the shoulder, a cat laughed, shaking his head. Oh, by the way, speaking of Savannah, I passed him in the corridor and there was something weird about him. Believe me, I know him. He's an everyday weirdo. He is Savannah after all. No, but he was walking strangely, and I'm sure there was blood on his trousers. Blood? Before the bird even has time to nod, something occurs to me. What was that? Yesterday, late morning, I'd say. And where did he come from? Eric, is there anything I need to know? Let's say that someone who was listening at Asher's door when I was talking to her. What you're saying could well coincide. In any case, I wouldn't be surprised if Savannah did it. Well, he was coming back from the noble's quarters, yes. That filthy shit-eating buffoonish bastard. I have to find him immediately. And on these words, I stand up while extending my hand towards the cat. Wait for me here. I'll be back as soon as I get this sorted out. As I leave my musical partner's room, his last words reach my ears. Don't do anything rash, please. That I can't promise. As I dash through the corridors of the castle, I think about how to proceed. I'm not getting the prince involved. Not now, anyway. I have very personal matters to settle with Savannah. He's probably in the throne room by now, clowning around to entertain the kings. In that case, I'll wait for him on the way back to his room. I know he comes back there for his meal. I'll need somewhere out of sight. Yes, they're perfect. A nook with a sort of storeroom with a castle staff keeping a whole bunch of tools. For long hours I went through a whole bunch of scenarios in my head. How far am I going to go? What kind of questions am I going to ask him? Then I start to have doubts. What if I'm wrong? Maybe it's just a coincidence? No, Savannah's a perfect agent to hire to follow me. He hates me, and he take any opportunity to bring me down to take my place. But I need to confirm my hypothesis. Besides, there's no way I'm letting him off easy, if it is indeed him. Through the crowd of people marching past me, I finally see his sullen, ugly mug as he shuffles down the corridor. Head down, stare evasive. In other words, this is clearly not his usual behavior. Slowly, I slide my hand over the hilt of my rapier, and then, at the bend of the corridor, I take the opportunity to charge NeveN in order to push him into the storeroom. He utters a quiet surprise as he stumbles to the ground, while I close the door with a swipe of my leg while pulling my sword from the scabbard to point it straight at his throat. What the? Shut up. If you activate your plan, I'll stab you. Got it? Even though he's giving me a menacing look, I can see from his trembling that it's just an attempt to throw me off balance. What the fuck are you doing? Are you sure you want to play this game with me? In the back of my words, I step on the spot where I think he's been hurt and makes the weasel squeal in pain. Before he has time to finish, I push the tip of my rapier against his throat so hard that blood pours out. You will spy on me. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Try that again, and I won't touch your wound with my paw, but with my weapon. What were you looking for, eh? NeveN remains silent in response to my threats. I only have to say one word to the prince to get you hanged. Not to mention that Lady Astrid now has a score to settle with you too. So what? If I tell you more now, are you going to spare me? We both know that you'll have to tell the prince eventually. I can put in a good word for you if you tell me everything. Oh yeah? And why would you do that, huh? Because as much as I want to kick your ass until you learn not to fuck with me anymore, I don't want to be responsible for your death. Once again, there is silence as we look at each other. You always want to be the best at everything. Maybe if you avoided comparing yourself to me, we'd all be better off. Now spit it out. It's Edwin. He asked me to have you followed. I don't know how much I should trust what NeveN is telling me, but what I am certain of is that it could indeed be the truth. And why is that? I don't know. I wasn't in a position to ask anything. You should ask yourself a bit more questions about. Suddenly there's screaming from outside, as NeveN is as startled as I am. My whole body goes tense as I listen, and the cries intensify. Fear and pain. I've heard that before. What the? Shut the fuck up. The sound doesn't stop, so I decide to seize my rapier, giving the weasel a menacing look to let him know that I don't intend to hold back if he tries anything. And I press an ear against the door. Suddenly, all I hear is silence. Well, not exactly. The screaming has died down, but there's like weird noises followed by a long growl so deep it rattles my eardrums. As NeveN is about to get up, I put a finger to my lips while shaking my head to let him know this is not the time. What's going on? Are we under attack? Even if things end up completely silent on the other side of the door, I'm waiting. I don't know exactly what, but it's as if I'm afraid something will jump out at me as soon as I cross that doorway. And after a moment that seems eternal, I find the courage to push open the door, which jams almost instantly. Shit. It's then with total spite that I turn back to NeveN to ask him in a whisper, "Help me push it. There's something blocking the door." He looks more than relieved that his case has become secondary in my eyes, and immediately comes to lend me a hand. And the two of us manage to push the door open while I almost slipped on blood. I hardly have time to realize it when I see all the corpses around us. My stomach almost goes through my mouth when I see the open stomachs and viscera on the ground, and at the same time a reaction I know all too well takes hold of my body. The heart pounding, the breathing getting shorter and shorter. I'm nothing more than a prey or a hunting ground. Breathe, Eric. You need to regain control. Now is not the time. Look around. I can hardly tell exactly how many bodies surround us because of the mangled limbs that cover the hallway. We gotta get out of here. To where? A whole bunch of thoughts run through my mind. The prince's office is hardly more protected than the rest of the castle. What are you thinking, Eric? Whatever happened, it happened in the castle. No amount of defense is going to change that. I look around. Any survivors? No. No one to tell me what happened. We seem capable of always seem capable of is standing among the corpses. Come on, pull yourself together. We need to find Maelbjorn and the kings. The guard will protect us. Yeah, okay. I then fumbled my way forward to avoid stepping on a piece of corpse or slipping on the blood staining the ground. It's strange. I feel like I'm in a nightmare. I can't get out of it. And yet, I was warned that all this was a possibility, that war was just around the corner. While my thoughts wander, I try to keep an eye on Sven. Will he be able to stab me in the back if the opportunity arose? I must prepare myself mentally to fight, to kill. But sparring is one thing. Sticking my rapier in someone else's flesh is another. My senses have never been so awake. I feel as if every sound, no matter how small, reaches me, and every hair in my body has become ultra-sensitive to the slightest draught running through the castle. When I reach the end of the corridor, I hear a hissing sound, that of a reptile. No time to understand. I run away from the noise without even looking to see if Sven is following me. And just behind me, the sound of claws scraping stone pursues me, while a bestial growl closes in much faster than I can outrun it. Suddenly, beneath my feet, the ground shakes, and I see the cobblestones moving before I hear the growl of the thing chasing me. Run! And that's what I keep doing, only this time neither the clawing nor the growling follows me. Without even realizing it, I'm heading for Vakad's tower, and I don't even know whether to hope he's there or not. Fortunately, the door is open, so I sneak inside without waiting. What are you doing, Eric? Have you lost your mind? I don't know. Can I stay here and wait for it to settle down? Or maybe. Heavy footsteps echo down the corridor again, and I recognize the distinct sound clouds scraping across the stone. I need to find a hideout, fast. In my haste, I nearly get my claws caught in some chains lying on the floor, before staggering towards a barrel, the lid of which I lift immediately. It's full of the viscera of animals hunted by Vakad, and their mere smell forces me to cover my nose. No time to think, I dive in as discreetly as possible and slip between the intestines, which make a wet, slimy noise as the scarlet water in the barrel rises to the level of my neck. By the gods, I'm going to... It's hiss. That thing is in the room. Every step it takes makes the barrel rattle, and I realize I'm praying as some kind of growl sounds not far from me. As slowly as I can so as not to make any noise, I grab my ears and plunge my head under the water so as to immerse myself completely in this filthy mixture. If panic didn't control my actions, I would never attempt this, but with any luck, these nauseating fumes can cover my smell. Please, by all the gods, I don't want to die. Not here, not now, not like that. I don't even know the creature sensed my presence, and I don't think opening my eyes and just standing at water would help me see in any way. But I'm not going to be able to hold my breath forever. My body shakes, making it almost uncontrollable as fear makes my mind spin in every possible direction. So I fight, run away. In this situation, it's impossible to activate my brain. So I reach nervously for my belt to find the hilt of my rapier. I probably only got a few seconds of air left, so it's with a knot in my stomach that I grab my weapon and slowly pull it out of my scabbard. I open my eyes to see that above the barrel a snout is forming. My heartbeat is going to rip my chest out if this keeps up. And I wonder if I'm going to drown, unable to get myself out of this cramped, weakened place that is crushing my body. Come on, Eric. Fine. This fucking courage. Then the yellow eye of a bird of prey stares back at me. Now, blade forward, I hurl myself from my hiding place, spitting out my lungs. I use all my meager strength to thrust the tip of the rapier into the eye of the monster facing me, and I feel as if my mind refuses to comprehend what it is as it begins to roar in pain. Scales, bone, fur, no time to understand. Take your blade and run quickly. I'm crawling forward before I manage to find a foothold to stand up, and no sooner have I passed through the bedroom door than the clawing noises start up again in earnest. I won't have time to. Savannah appears in front of me, his brand glittering under his clothes, and a shattering sound comes from behind me. Let's get out of here. Still in socks, sticking and shaking, and blink as I turn to see the door collapse. For a moment, it's as if everything is settled, then the scratching starts again. The weasel grabs hold of my arm and pulls me along, and that's when I start running alongside him. Even knowing these corridors, I still feel like I'm completely lost. Luckily, all I have to do is follow Sven. If I had known my life would be saved by that bloody fucker, my heart sinks every time I turn a corner. I feel as if the monster could appear from the shadows at any moment. What was that? Did you get to see it? The weasel doesn't answer. It just keeps running for what seems like an eternity before leaning against a wall, catching his breath. No goddamn idea what that thing is, but it was big and fast. That doesn't help. Then he looks at me with a sort of reproach in his eyes. You owe me one. Huh? I saved your ass twice, so you better help me in return. It pays me to let him get away with it, but I probably wouldn't be here right now without his intervention. Come on, swallow your pride, Eric. Yeah, okay, that's fine. I'll have to explain the situation to Maelbjorn, but we've got other things to worry about at the moment. And shall we set aside our verbal jousting and all that crap as well? For fuck's sake, Savannah, are you serious? This isn't the time for that. If it's not the time now, it'll never be. So, what do you say? Alright, I'll forget all about your cheating. Maybe it is a lie, but I certainly don't intend to discuss Savannah's every whim in the middle of what appears to be a battlefield. At least he seems to be satisfied with my answer and resumes his run through the castle. If anyone can help us, they'll be in the throne room. That's where I last saw the kings. And it suddenly strikes me, Maelbjorn and Cat, everyone are there safe? I pass the reason in the hope of getting an answer to that question while a whole bunch of scenarios run through my head. I imagine them among those corpses, chopped up, scattered. For fuck's sake, mine, stop thinking about that. Know they're alive and whole. You'll make sure that they stay that way. Fortunately, at this pace, it's not long before we arrive outside the entrance to the throne room. There are well over 20 guards around the door alone, and they're on their alert. It's clear that everyone already knows about the attack. When I approach, the warriors seem wary at first and draw their swords, even though I know several of them. Are they taking me for a potential enemy? I raise my arms as Savannah stops them, and Savannah stops beside me. Then we spend long seconds looking at each other. Lower your weapons. Gideon crosses their ranks with vivacity and pulls me by the shoulders to get me inside. By the gods, we all thought you were dead. Nice to see you too, Gilead. Is everyone with... Before I have time to finish my sentence, I have my answer. A good 100 applicants are scattered all over the throne room, and there is a distinct bustle in every corner of the room. Some of them are lying on straw beds while priests and Mariani tend to their wounds. Others are standing as best they can, waiting their turn to be treated. As I try to find a trace of my companions, a few drops of water fall on my muzzle. So I lift my snout and realize that they still haven't fixed the tinted glass in the ceiling. This makes me think that every time my life takes a wrong turn, this is where I end up. This road brings me bad luck. These thoughts are interrupted when I finally catch sight of two very distinct groups glaring animatedly at each other. On one side stand Astrid and Edwin debating with some well-dressed people, other nobles probably. On the other, royalty and the servants, with whom stand the prince, but also a cat and Tanakh. Deep down, I can't help being relieved to see them, even though Sam nods at me when I think that others have died. Eric, the bear's eyes light up when he spots me, and I can only smile as I approach him. You see, he had nothing to fear. I told you he was a resourceful rabbit. A cat doesn't say a word, but he gives me a hug, which I give in to completely, gradually letting go of the knot in my stomach. If he doesn't express it, I can sense in the bird's trembling that he's scared, just like when we escaped from the bandits who were threatening us. And I can't help patting him on the back to try to reassure him a little. There, everything will be alright. With difficulty, he detaches himself from me and looks me up and down, as expecting me not to have returned in one piece. I've been worried sick about you, all those deaths. You won't get rid of me that easily, birdie. This is I manage to coax a small smile from the bird. I catch a glimpse of Maelbjorn's huge flame of pulsing. I can see he's doing his best to keep his cool, but the look in his eyes tell a different story. He was scared too. Eric, I'm glad to see you alive. The urge to hug him is strong, but I know it wouldn't be proper to do that with the prince. Suddenly the bear wraps his arms around me and pulls me close. I should have been there, I should have acted. Intrusive glances are turning towards us, particularly from the group of nobles. And one thing is for sure, this emotional display doesn't please him in the least. Even the kings don't seem very comfortable with it, but it's out of the question to push their star away. Alright, what's going on, Maelbjorn? I saw a monster and lots of dead bodies. This time the bear grabs me by the shoulders and looks at me with clear hope in his eyes. Were you able to see our enemies? Seeing is a big word, but I think I managed to hurt that thing. I think I surprised the prince, or is it pride? Whatever it is, he draws me in the direction of the kings who are seated on their respective thrones, while they look at me with a sort of relief. It is unexpected to see you back with us, but your presence delights me, Eric, especially as we shall need you sooner than we thought. I don't think I'm ready for Maelbjorn steps past me, positioning himself between the kings and me before interrupting. All in good time, Eric has encountered one of our enemies. There are several of them. That's what we think, yes. There has been a surprising amount of coordination to eliminate the guard patrols on the walls. Not to mention that we sent a battalion of soldiers to retrieve supplies from our food stockpile, and they haven't returned. One of my fathers implies that not only are our assailants probably multiple, but the attack seems well thought out. It is likely to have informants inside the castle itself. In spite of myself, I turn my gaze to Edwin as a host of thoughts run through my head. I need to find a way to spare NeveN while exposing scrolls spying. But how? Besides, it doesn't add up from what I've seen. What was chasing me was bestial, whatever it was, it tore people apart without differentiating between those who could defend themselves and those who couldn't. There was nothing calculated about what that monster did, and it chased me like it was a wild animal. Silence hangs as I watch the kings and their son ponder a possibility. That's when I see green scales out of the corner of my eye, and Tanak's voice rings in my ears. We know that the Mercadians sometimes use war beasts, although it seems unlikely that they have infiltrated one into the castle. But I have heard of gladiators being magically altered to make them monsters, so it wouldn't be surprising. Multiple glances turn to Gilead, who nods in silent confirmation of the ambassador's words. Whatever our enemies, we are besieged in our own domain. In other words, we either stay here in the hope that the outside will realize we're missing, taking into account that this may result in the deaths of others, or we attempt to exit. In both cases, it's risky. It's only now that I realize this. Vakad, Rowan, and Simeon aren't here. Excuse me, but where are the other members of the court? Sibby was still in her cell at the time of the attack, so Rowan decided to go and free her, disobeying my orders and ignoring my warnings. Ro was in town at the Temple of the 12. He would have been very useful to us here. And Vakad has gone hunting, which means he might come back to walk straight into a trap. In other words, there's a good chance they'll be the next victims if we don't do something. And can't just sit here twiddling my thumbs. Something must be done. I agree. It's a risk that's best considered with great caution, especially since many of our guards are here, which means they've probably been eliminated. The king's gaze turns from me to what's going on behind. When I turn around, the group of nobles have joined us with the walrus at their head, while Astra and Edrin stand further back. We would like to speak to the kings. Who are you? Lohan, representative of the Lord of Durnawan. I don't even know this castle. Probably a minor domain far from any trace of society. Speak then. And I'm standing here on behalf of our people to highlight the many problems faced by your power. Also, they decided to sacrifice someone insignificant to them in order not to get their hands dirty, I suppose. If the old noble families have a complaint, let them bring it directly to our ears instead of going through some petty lord's representative. That's exactly what I was thinking. I could see Astrid wincing at this accusation before gracefully stepping forward to stand next to Wallace. I can't bring myself to represent the nobility given that many of their members are not among us. They rely on me to represent their views. I wouldn't want to send out the wrong message. And if the thoughts of the Lord of Durnawan are similar to those of the people I represent, that will only be due to pure coincidence, obviously. The poodle suits a knowing look at the robbers, who I see playing nervously with his fingers. It's as if the tension is palpable. I don't know how much the people around me realize it. Obviously, carry on. I want to get the full extent of your Lord's thoughts. The noble goats as he takes a deep breath of air before uttering the following sentence in one breath. As soon as your heir attacked Lord Boreas, it became clear that your power no longer respects the rules that you yourself had imposed, and despite that, we remain quiet. The silence is increasingly heavy. Some of the nobles look at each other, while the kings remain impassive as they listen to the Wallace. I look for any sign of reaction from Maelbjorn, but all I managed to pick up are his fingers closing around the hilt of his axe. However, Lady Simi's betrayal and imprisonment, and now this attack inside the castle itself, are clear signs that your dynasty is losing control. Get to the point. It is time to give us more decision-making power. I look for any sign of reaction from Maelbjorn, but all I managed to pick up are his fingers closing around the hilt of his axe. Ataka stands up and points to his throne, smiling at his audience. Go ahead. I hope the place will be warm enough for you. but under your leadership, I doubt it will remain for much longer. As the taste clearly overwhelms the walrus, he turns his head to observe his colleagues. Something tells me he didn't foresee this possibility. That is not my intention, my king. What is your intention then? We want you to set things right. The contours of Aeon's brain suddenly lights up, and he frowns, looking the walrus up and down. It's easy to ask for solutions, isn't it? But it's not so easy to provide them. You should have trained that bard in combat far more intensively than you did. This time the tiger approaches the noble, who recoils, which doesn't stop Aeon from moving even farther forward and grab him by the shoulders. Have you forgotten who I am and how I got here? Perhaps you'd like me to remind everyone. Under the walrus, the saddles dance and slide slowly against his body until they wrap around his arms and throat. Suddenly he spasms and writhes painfully, letting out cries that are quickly muffled by the dark hand that strangles him. Aeon, don't worry, Lus. It's just a demonstration, isn't it? A few broken bones. It can't be mended. No one else dares move or challenge what the king is doing as he takes his sweet time rounding the walrus to look each noble in the eye, one after the other. And finally he places himself in front of the spokesman before addressing him in a calm but cold tone. You can't even trust your own shadow. What chance do you have of standing up to me? Then the darkness recedes, and the walrus takes another jerky breath, his eyes still convulsed for what he's just been through. I'll put this foul pause down to the tense situation we're currently in, but make it one more, and I shall be forced to take drastic measures to silence its sedition. With these words, the king turned momentarily to pull a small handkerchief from the pocket of his loincloth before passing it over his lips, and when he pulls it back in, I see a bit of wet smear across the cloth. And you, back there, what do you think of it? The king turns to us again, this time every noble, including Ezra and NeveN, and it is the latter who steps forward to answer Aeon. I'm sure our friend here simply wanted to express his fears about the situation in. We don't have time for your political doublespeak, NeveN. Either we're all moving in the same direction, or I'll have to look at you as a potential danger looming behind our backs. Of course, my lord, I simply wanted to suggest that this petty noble's speech does not represent our opinion. For a moment, I feel like exposing the treasurer. After all, he sent a spy to keep an eye on me. But the more I think about it, the more I wonder if I have more to lose than to gain. Spying seems to be commonplace in the royal court, given what Maelbjorn told me in the morning. So I don't even know if it would count as a crime in their eyes. Besides, not only would I be putting Savannah in danger, but he might deny having words for NeveN, leaving me alone without proof that the scroll was indeed the mastermind. Not to mention the fact that it would add fuel to an already delicate situation. We can't have even more chaos when we're under attack. No, I'll keep quiet for now. Good. Any other dissenting opinions? Might as well get it all out in the open now. We have discussed the situation of Lord Breas. It might be wise to release him and the other nobles in your goals, if he is still alive. No, right, he isn't. I'm sure we can work something out. After all, if we release him, it will only be fair if we also ended Simmons' imprisonment. There's a clear tension in the look of the prince. There's a clear tension in the look the prince sends his uncle, but he seems to quickly rally behind it at the mention of this spy mistress. That sounds like a reasonable request to me. The Lord of Durnowin's representative then speaks in such a hushed voice that it is impossible for Aeon to hear him. It is a heavy price to pay to free a trait. Perhaps I should tell Lord Breas that you do not care to see him free. He who has been so ardently committed to your cause in the past. It is clear that the walrus quickly realizes that he no longer has any allies around him and immediately falls silent. Now that your internal tensions have settled, is it possible for us to return to a more urgent subject? I agree. This is no time for political scheming. As far as we know, the attackers have targeted both nobles and servants of the kingdom. They will make no distinction depending on your allegiance. As has already been said, we are under siege, and standing idly by could lead to more needless deaths. We have to make a break for it and get to the city to bring back more troops. That's dangerous. Most of us aren't warriors. We will only be an obstacle if there were to be a fight. Splitting up would be stupid. Not only would we have fewer brands, but the enemy might attack the least defended group first. But the throne room gives us a perfect defensive position. It would be safer for us to stay here. I agree with NeveN on this point. It would be more prudent to wait here for reinforcements rather than venture out only to fall straight into what appears to be a trap. Not to mention that it would mean leaving a lot of wounded behind. That's a sacrifice I'm not prepared to make. If our enemies don't attack us here, it's because they think they have time on their side. But you're right about one thing. There's no way we are betting our people here. I would like to lead an expedition alongside you, King Lus. Perhaps King Aeon and the prince can stay behind with the nobles and the wounded, plus a few guards will leave here. Maelbjorn winces as he looks at the captain with some anger in his eyes. You know very well I can fight at your sides, Gilad. Far be it from me to question your abilities, my prince, but we cannot afford to put you in harm's way. With the nobles and the king at your side, I'm sure you'll be able to hold off an assault should it happen. I would have preferred to be there too, but you are right, Gilad. There are risks I'm not willing to take. This time the tiger turns to me and crosses his arms. Do you feel ready to fight? You're the only one who has seen the enemy, and your plan will be useful to us, even if you haven't fully mastered it yet. I'm not sure. Looking around, I meet the eyes of Maelbjorn, a cat, Tanaka, and many others. Hope, fear, anticipation, they all expect something of me. And I can't blame them, after all. I owe them a lot, every single one of them, so I have to fight to repay them. And yet it is with fear that I pronounce these words. Yes, I will fight alongside you. The bear king approaches me and places a hand on my shoulder, smiling. Well, it's time to show these nobles what it means to be a hero. Let's remind them who Neva's avatar the Bear King and Frostfang are. Gilad, prepare our best warriors. We'll need to make our way to the armory to collect our equipment before heading to the prison. While everyone is bustling about, I join Maelbjorn, who seems to be in a state of inner conflict. Are you sure that? Yes, you said yourself that you regret that you didn't act. I can't run away from that responsibility, not now. I intend to insist to the kings that I come with you. You shouldn't. Your role is to stay alive and guide this kingdom. Whatever happens, besides, I managed to hurt one of them, so I'm sure I'll be able to defend myself, especially with Gilad by my side. This time the bear looks away with her long sigh. I feel so useless. I take him by the hand and stroke his fingers and smile on my lips. There will come a day where you alone will be able to lead this country on the right path, and then we will be the ones who feel useless. This time, I can't even get a smile out of the bear. Look, I've been trained for this. If I can't find the courage to fight now, I never will. But you said it yourself, Eric. You're neither a warrior nor a hero. Well, maybe it's time I became one. The stories of the bards are full of common folk showing bravery where it's needed. So maybe it's time to see how much truth there is in these tales. Without a word, the bear hangs on my belt and looks at me with a kind of approval. When you first came here, your belt barely fit while your waist. I remember pointing that out to you. A lot has changed since then. That's for sure. We look at each other, full of sadness, fear, full of every emotion imaginable. There are so many things I'd like to say, but words fail me. Plus, given my last words will be like accepting that this is the end, that there won't be another moment to talk with him. No, Eric, you'll have time to tell him everything you want once you're back. This situation would seem almost poetic to me if I weren't in the eye of the storm. the reality comes back to me. I must warn him about it. Before I go, I have something to tell you. It's very important. So go ahead. I have reason to believe that NeveN is the one who had Astrid and being spied on. I can't tell you why I think that. Not right now, but promise me you'll be careful, alright? For a moment, the prince raised an angry glance at the squirrel, but I attract his attention again by placing myself between the two, hoping that NeveN hasn't seen him. But now's not the time to try and stop him. You know that as well as I do. The less you know, the better off we'll be. Just be careful with him, and once this is all sorted, we'll deal with his case, okay? All the bear can give me for an answer is alongside as he rolls his eyes. I trust you on that. Have you told Astrid about it? No, I'm still not sure I want to trust her. She doesn't need to know anymore at the moment. Good, it's best to take that kind of precaution. I take a breath, trying not to get emotional before tapping Maelbjorn's armored shoulder. I'll see you very soon, big guy. After a long hesitation, the bear leans over and whispers in my ears, holding me firmly by the shoulders. I love you. Take care and come back to me in one piece. I love you too, my handsome prince. I'll see you very soon, I promise. It is with difficulty that I detach myself from Maelbjorn, giving him one last look before joining Gillant, who is busy chatting with Tanakh in the corner of the room. Are you sure about this? I've never been that sure, but the slightest misstep could cost me dearly. Am I bothering you? They both turn their eyes toward me, and I see that there is definite anger in the captain's gaze. Without even answering me, he walks away and growls, leaving me alone with Silver and Bill's lizard. What's going on? He wanted me to come and fight with you, but I can't. Well, it's true that you're in the best position to help us in the situation given the power of your brand. What's stopping you? Tanakh looks up at the ceiling with a sigh, but I insist with my eyes that he answer me. If they're Mercadians, I don't want to risk a war by getting involved in the fighting. If they learn that a Khazarian was fighting alongside the Frostians, it will create irreparable tensions between our countries. So you are going to watch us kill each other? Look, Eric, I've always stuck my nose in Frostfan's business more than enough, to the point where my involvement could easily be considered high treason back at Khazal. But if it makes you feel any better, I'm going to stay here and do my best to protect everyone, including your prince. I suppose it's Eric. Before I have time to finish my sentence, my breath is taken away by a falcon who suddenly shoots down on me and wraps his arms around me. Don't go with him. Stay here. I can't escape his pleading, and I can't help but smile at him as I hug him back. It's kind of you to worry about me. I can't do that. The kingdom needs me. I know I won't convince you, but you better come back. Wow. As the bird struggles to find the right words, I pat his cheek before breaking away from him with an amused wink. You'll kick my ass, I understand. Tanakh, I need you to do something for me. Look after that cat and Maelbjorn, and above all, keep an eye on the nobles. I'm afraid one of them might try something. That's within my capabilities, I suppose. But if you have anything to tell me that might help identify the threat. I haven't got anything more, no. Just trust me, that's all I ask of you. Oh, and the cat. Stay close to the bastard and the prince, will you? I'm sure a little ballad will do them a world of good. The assistant puts on as brave an air as he can, nodding his head before grabbing his loot. Take care, lads. It's time for me to get my hands dirty. Good luck, and come back to us alive. The more people tell me that, the more my mind races. As I walk away to join Gillant, unpleasant thoughts abruptly plague me. What if I don't come back alive? What am I leaving behind as a legacy? Not much, if anything. To think I wanted to leave my mark on the kingdom through my bardic talents. Are you ready? The captain's voice snaps me out of my torment. I must admit that it's quite convenient. I try to be. There's no trying. Soon the worst is going to happen, and that we will need to fight and kill. You are always so reassuring, Gillant. The panther grabs me by the shoulders and stares at me with a serious expression. I'm not here to reassure you. Now is the time for our training to pay off, understood? If I already paid off, I wouldn't be standing in front of you if I hadn't stabbed the monster that was following me. Good. He passed my shoulder on, and a thud echoes in our ears. You kept that chain mail from your tournament. You kept the chain mail from your tournament outfit. I see. A good thing, given our current lack of armor. I always wear it under my clothes just in case. It means you understand the seriousness of the situation then. Once I'm the one raising my eyes to the ceiling and shaking my head. I've been telling you all along, they really do take me for either a moron or a hothead. Right, you'll stay with me during our expedition, and you'll support me, your brand, the heroic attempts. You keep your cool and follow the plan. Alright, and if the plan fails, in that case, you have my permission to improvise and do everything you can to kill our enemies and save your skin. I'm tempted to add, with saving my skin requires running away without killing anyone, but something tells me the captain won't appreciate this attempt at humor. What exactly is our mission? Find the attackers and kill them? No, we're going to be a bit more methodical than that. As King said, the plan is to head for the armory first, and that's not far from the prison. That way we can kill two birds with one stone. Some of the guards were resting. They didn't have time to collect their equipment when the attacks took place. The kings tend to stay in their civilian clothes on a regular day. So the objective is to get everyone's armor and weapons. Then for the prisoners, that's the first step. Then we need to take control of the gate, and from there, we'll appoint the troops from the city to retake the rest of the castle. And aren't you worried that some of the prisoners might be uncooperative? I have to admit that the prospect of ending up with a knife in my back doesn't thrill me all that much. Let's just say that there are people in these cells who have even less interest in falling into the hands of the Mercadians than into ours. Those who have a grudge against us, well, good luck to them. If we're fighting Mercadians at all, that's the most likely hypothesis, and we're not going to risk making any others. In fact, if they are not Mercadians, it would even be a relief because we would avoid a war. But the urgency means that we have to put these issues off until later. It's time to get going. The captain rises to his full height, a grave look on his face, then moves towards the troop that has formed up. As I follow him, I realize that I'm still finding it very hard to realize that I'm going to be fighting for real, probably even against proper warriors. And no matter how hard I try to be brave, the doubt about my ability to win haunts me. Say, Gilad, how do you stay calm before a fight? The captain looks me up and down, and I do believe he understands my unease. I'm calm on the outside only. It's something else, entirely on the inside. So you never get used to it? At least that's true for those who have some respect for life. There are natural born killers out there, but I doubt you are one. A smile appeals on the panther's lips. It's a rare gift that, I must admit, warms my heart, and the gods alone know that I need it. Is there a chance I'll die? The captain loses his smile as he nods. It's a probability, although I'll do everything I can to make sure it doesn't happen. If you're afraid of death, make sure you've told the people you love. Make sure you told the people you love what you want. That way, if you have to depart, you'll do so without any regrets. I don't want to do this. I'll come back alive. That's the spirit. Finally, we reach the group of warriors, and some are still sharpening their weapons. I look at them one by one, old, young, men and women of all species. Some of them look more like common folk than hardened veterans. Is this really what's left of Frostfang's best warriors? Something tells me these are just the ones we have on hand. Yet they are all determined, and I understand that, like Gilad, their minds focus on a single goal. Push it back to invaders. Be continued. Hello everyone. We hope you enjoyed this chapter. If you want more information about NeveN, feel free to follow us on Twitter. We also have a Discord allowing you to chat among community members. Finally, if you would like to support our project, we also have a Patreon that offers you a series of benefits such as bills 2 weeks in advance, but also unique stories about the characters in NeveN. If you like the VM, please also feel free to rate us on Itch.io. It will help us a lot. Once again, a big thanks to all of you. See you soon. Okay, so things are heating up now. So Eric's about to go out and fight to protect the castle. And I think it's McCad. Because it looked like McCad attacked Eric while he was out with a Captain Rowan. While they were out and about in the city, the monster attacked them. And this time, the monster attacked them in the castle. So that's a big difference. So even the castle is not safe. So it looks like McCann has declared war on Frostfang. Or at least it appears to be that. So there's a possibility that Eric could die. There's a possibility that Gillard could die. And there's even a possibility that the other characters could die also, even though they're not going out to fight. They could still die as well. And it makes sense that Tanakh is not fighting because if the forces that are attacking the castle from McCann and they see a Kazillion fighting with Frostfang, that will cause a huge, an even huger conflict. Because it's not only Frostfang McCad has their eyes on, but they have their eyes on Kazal now. So this McCad going against both countries, and that leads to an even bigger conflict, even more casualties. So it makes sense that Tanakh has decided not to get involved because he doesn't want to be seen by the forces from McCad. And we also got to see some tension between the kings and the nobility. The nobility wants more power, and the nobility thinks that the kings aren't doing their jobs as much as they should, or maybe they are trying, but they just don't have as much control as they used to have. So Aeon, I mean, he seems to be. I mean, he's obviously the more hot-headed of the two kings. I mean, King Lust is more reasonable and he's more calmer and controlled, while King Aeon is just this hothead that. I mean, he's certainly a king. Also, he's certainly competent in his job, but he's kind of hot-headed and kind of got physical with that noble, well, the person representing the noble, and made him look at the other people in there. So I think once that representative knew that he didn't have any allies in there, that's when he kind of stood down, basically. So, and I love that ending between Eric and Maelbjorn. Maelbjorn telling a cat, I mean, Maelbjorn telling Eric that he loves him and that he doesn't want him to die. I like that part there. They've really grown close ever since Eric came to the city of Phosphate. They've grown very close. And it is a relationship that is very unlikely. I mean, it's very unlikely for a prince who is destined to become a king to be in love with a commoner. So it seems like the kings don't really mind Maelbjorn having feelings for Eric and so affection. I mean, they didn't try to stop him, so I don't think the kings are all that bothered with it. Okay, so this was chapter 7 for Maelbjorn. So when the next update from Maelbjorn comes out, we'll cover that and see how things go about with the battle with these monsters. So thank you all very much for watching. Goodbye.